Friends, how are you doing? It is Wednesday, hump day, October 29th. It's almost spooky day, and how's everyone doing? I hope you're well. It is a wild time right now, wild time. So obviously today, Feds came out, Jerome Powell. This is kind of like a repeat of what happened during the last rate cut. A little bit different this time, but honestly, the market, just kind of shadowed what it did last time on the last rate cut. So bullet points of what we just saw here today. The market was running really good today. Obviously going to talk about some things here. Palantir is just but a few nickels short of $200. It is coming down the pipeline here. It looks like it's about to happen. May even happen pre-market tomorrow. Who knows? But the Feds came out, did this 25 basis cut. Market was like, okay, great. Then Jerome started talking more, and he was like, well, inflation. He did his famous Jerome Powell stuff where he was like, here's some good news, but here's a ton of bad news too. So we did the rate cut, but then he was like, hey, I'm not sure about December. We're going to come back to it. We're not so certain we're going to do a December rate cut, but we may not. So that's kind of where we're at right now. He did this on the last one, and obviously, now we have another rate cut. I probably more likely they're going to do another one. This is only 0.50 basis cuts. This is not extreme. Now, obviously, they're worried, and everyone has their own opinion about this, obviously. Inflation, yes, a problem. Inflation is ticking back up, tiny, wincy a little bit here, but, what's more important right now? Job reports are terrible, job market, we all know that the job market's terrible. Inflation, but right now, can these rate cuts try to clean up this already pre-existing mess that we're seeing right now? And the market wants it. The market's loving it. These bank stocks obviously are loving it too. So it looks like Tom Lee is definitely going to get his 7,000 point range on the S&P 500. It could happen any day, any week. It looks like it's happening. We're still in quarterly week. So today, obviously, when Jerome Powell talked, the market, violently ticked up, then it sold off, then it came back a little bit. Some things came back here, and some things are kind of just trying to figure out what they're doing. But with that too, Microsoft reported earnings today, and this is what is so interesting. I want to say this real fast. So a lot of people talk about the AI bubble. That is the huge conversation right now, with the AI bubble. Okay, Microsoft, this is the one everyone was looking at today. Microsoft just released this $77.67 billion revenue quarterly. Holy smokes. So with that, this was a situation where we saw Microsoft come out with a slamming, banging quarterly here. Jensen, obviously, this has been a great week for NVIDIA because it ended today, but they had this long week of this big, get-together conference where they were talking about, all their new software investments, where they're going. This is where the Palantir stuff came out, Richtech stuff, which I'll talk about. On and on and on. Chips, everything. They talked about everything he could. So NVIDIA stock this week has been going crazy, well over $200. It hit the $5 trillion market cap, crazy. With this, Jensen also gave an interview this week where he said, why are people saying we're in an AI bubble? We're not in a bubble. We are in the most innovating moment right now with AI, tech, software, whatever you want to call it. We're seeing this stuff work, and we're just going into the new generation of it, the new elements that are taking place here. So very encouraging, very nice to hear someone say that. When you're in the stock market, you're always going to find the negatives first. There's always people that are going to live off the negatives, and that's fine. There's some people that they live off betting against the market, betting against companies. There's nothing wrong with that. We're still investors. We are equal. We're still investors in this market. But right now, with where these AI companies are showing massive gains in profit, showing, backing up a lot of what they're talking about. This is why people wanting to go against the grain, even with Palantir. It's like, I don't know if that's really the best thing right now, because Palantir is still producing heavily quarterlies and deals. Those deals, when we see Palantir get a new deal, it's not like, oh wow, that's really cool, they got a new deal. There's millions of dollars attached to that deal. One of Palantir's deals is big as some companies make in a whole year. That's what you have to understand here. And they're getting multiples. So that's why that conversation is happening. But this is very interesting where Jensen, someone who is well diversed in the community of technology, AI, everything, he goes, no, the market's great right now. It's an innovation market right now, and it's going to continue to be like that. Of course, things are expensive because everyone's trying to get their hands on what they can right now that's showing any kind of signs of survival into the future. That's where we're at right now. So, friends, just to mention SoFi here, I want to go over SoFi, but obviously, second chain, I really talked about SoFi, but I do want to talk about SoFi because this is we're coming off the battlefield right now. So yesterday SoFi came out with quarterlies and they were awesome. They were awesome. I mean, they were awesome. You know, I think all of us at the end of the day are just like, this is great. This is fantastic. SoFi is still in this range of $30. And I still think this is a place where SoFi is going to start leapfrogging here. By Q4, there's no doubt that SoFi should be in the range 50 million shy right now of $1 billion. Okay. What SoFi is doing right now on top of each quarterly, it's beating every quarterly, you know, well over by $100 million. Okay. So with that, you know, being $50 million short at this point from $1 billion in revenue for the next quarterly, I think it's pretty safe to say, yeah, they're gonna wrap that up. They're gonna get that. Okay, so this is fundamentally a moment in time where, you know, I think right now the biggest thing anybody should be thinking of right now is that we just got 2 rate cuts. More than likely, we're going to get a third. You know, Jerome loves drama. He's a drama queen. But they're probably going to do that rate cut, okay? And obviously, they had to say what they said today because the government shut down. They don't have job reports for September, nor are they going to get them for October, okay? And we don't know when this thing's going to open back up. I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. I mean, some of them are saying, we'll see you after Thanksgiving. That's literally what we're hearing at this point. With that, you know, SoFi, buying SoFi anywhere in the $20 zone, that is probably the deal of a lifetime compared to where we're going to be down the road here, you know, even especially by Q4. SoFi is in such a beautiful pattern of growth right now. These are the wonder years. These are the genesis moments, the genesis stage of SoFi really building into a strong foundation with revenue, growth with customer basis, getting a lot more attention. I've said this time and time again, but I really think SoFi is going to be a strong predator for other banks in the future. You know, of course, I would love to say stock split, all that. There's already people saying stuff like that, but I think, you know, there's obviously going to have to be a lot of pushing, you know, with the stock price for that to happen, and they're going to have to, you know, quarterlies are going to have to get a lot more aggressive, which I think that's very possible. But I made a video today, well, I put it out today this morning, where I talked about SoFi compared to Robinhood, compared to PayPal, where I think that SoFi will do better in the long term, and this long term may be, you know, 5-10 years from now, but SoFi has been such this underdog, where now I truly believe that it's going to start, you know, getting ahead of the other horses here, essentially the dark horse coming up from the back of the pack here, because SoFi has continued to push into technology, continue to push into a younger basis with customers. And right now, the quarterlies have been so beautiful. They haven't had like up and down camel humps with a quarterly basis here. They've been straight. I mean, so beautiful. I mean, the only other beautiful stock right now that I remotely talk about is Palantir. But SoFi is in this place where growth is, you know, we don't know what growth is going to be this time next year, because they're still, every quarterly they beat every quarterly, they blow it out of the water here, and it's just this moment of like, what's it going to do? What's it going to do? They're in such a growth pattern right now. It's just phenomenal and so fun to watch it. I mean, these are the fun things with investing. Investing should be fun. It really should, especially when you're in a long relationship with a stock. You know, let it be fun. It's a fun situation, and SoFi is fun because it's an unstoppable train right now. It's really fun to watch it just plow through all these bad takes and comments. I mean, I listen, I have been here yapping about SoFi for 2-3, I don't know, since COVID years when it came to market. I don't know, how long has that been now? I've been here since this thing was $3-4, and trust me, people even a year ago were saying, don't buy this stock. This is ridiculous. We saw SoFi get ahead of this thing. And what this thing was, it was technology. They pushed into that, where the bears of the market, the doubters were going, they need to focus more on doing just the brick and mortar thing. They need to focus doing on what other banks have done their whole life. And SoFi went, yeah, we're going to take some of that, and some of it we're just not going to do. But really what we're going to do, we're going to focus into what we've already structurally found ourselves in, focusing on a younger generation and focusing on technology. It has worked 100%, and they're still rolling with that aggressively. Robinhood could be in that same category, and that's kind of my conversation. I'm not trying to be mean towards Robinhood or towards PayPal. I think those are great companies, especially Robinhood. There's still a lot of meat left on the bone there. But with those, you have PayPal, who's kind of off in this corner over here, where people look at it and they go, well, PayPal's not really a bank. It is a bank, but essentially it's just, I don't know that. The thing that scares me about PayPal is that I don't know that PayPal will ever be anything more than what it is. And that's sad to say, because it's a fantastic company. It's all great. It's all great. It should be more money. I agree. For people that go in like, man, I thought this stock was really going to be like $100 stock by now. I get that. But you're talking about a situation where I look at PayPal and I go, I think most people, even just people you talk to, if you walked up to someone on the street, you took a survey, you said, what do you view PayPal as? They would go, oh yeah, PayPal is like where you switch money from bank account to bank account. It's needed, it's wanted, it's great for that, but people wouldn't look at that and go like, oh yeah, you can buy stocks through it, you can make savings accounts, I use it for my bank, oh my paycheck goes in that. Most people probably aren't saying that. They're just not. Then you have Robinhood, Robinhood is aggressively trying to get into this banking mindset for people right now, trying to really push that. But still, they found their bread and butter of what they're doing, being this trading platform, but still now pushing into, hey, credit cards, hey, banking, we want to do all of that. But SoFi has already been focusing on all of that stuff, and now you're starting to see it really take shape, and it's such a wonderful, fun time for investors, because we're just kind of sitting back. But like I said, I think people months from now are going to be looking at SoFi going like, man, I should have bought it at 26. I should have bought it at 30. I should have bought it. It's undoubtedly, long term, this is going to work more and more and more. It's going to be a devastating blow for the bears that are just against it right now. And a lot of those whispers and conversations are dying out. They really are. With every decade generation, there's always new companies that rise up and do very well. Going to be one of those stocks right now. So yeah, I said too much, but yeah, I'm really excited about SoFi. I think this is just fundamentally, I think it's just so great. I really do. I can't say enough. Okay, let's talk about Richtech real fast, because this has been a big week for Richtech here. But essentially, Richtech was at this thing with NVIDIA this week in DC. And so and there's a lot of articles on this right now, but one thing that they showed off was DEX, their next generation of humanoid intelligent robot in DEX. So they have Atom, which you've probably seen Atom. Atom is in the service industry quite a bit. That's kind of their, it is still their bread and butter. And that's where the Atom, I think Atom is the one that's going to the Golden Knights Coliseum here soon. And if you don't know, I just said that yesterday, they just signed up a partnership with the Golden Knights in Vegas. But and Adam will be going there to the place to help serve, do things here. But Dex is essentially this new robot, and this is where and if you're wondering why is Richtech, Nvidia, why is Richtech there? Well, Nvidia, Richtech, working together here. They're using their chips. I really think this is a situation of where we will see more progression in the relationship with Nvidia and Richtech. Jensen himself has been talking a lot about robots this year, and this is one of my key things for me as an investor, where what I try to look at, especially if it's a company that I invest in, I really pay attention to what the CEO is saying, because a lot of CEOs will speak in code. They will speak in future language. Alex Karp is famous for doing this. Anthony, the CEO of Sofi, is famous for doing this. A lot of them, they know things that the companies are working on now, but maybe we don't know about it. We don't know what the broad scale of it is. A lot of these things come a year or so later, quarterlies down the road. Jensen has been talking a lot about robotics this year. He is quite obsessed with it. He's saying that it's going to be the next phase in the market. He is saying that it is coming with a vengeance here, whether people want this or not. Robotics. So that's why Richtech is getting a lot of attention too. So Richtech has already had this moment in the sun here, where we've had this huge push up. The stock is holding around this $5 position. Even today, it was doing pretty well, floating back and forth. It's not crazy to see Richtech shoot back up into a $6 range. We were just there days ago at this point, and now we've fallen to this $5 range. For people wondering why Richtech sold off, this hit piece came out of so here, I'll just say it. This hit piece article came out here with Richtech talking about, essentially accusing Richtech of money things, all that. But it's up, you can find it. But what I say to this is that I don't really think that Nvidia would be working so heavily right now with Richtech if they believed any of this. And I think a lot of this too will just, the dust will settle and Richtech will continue to go on here and do what they do. We saw a lot of this conversation. We saw similar things like this happen with Big Bear at the beginning of the year, and it lasted forever. But this one's a little not as aggressive, so it'll probably wash out of the news here very fast. But Richtech here, I do think there is a conversation here for the next cycle. Whenever Richtech, when it starts to get looked at again here in the market, I do think the next push, the next phase of this push, if we can get this next 1, 2, 3, fourth big staircase built into Richtech here, it will undoubtedly be somewhere in this $8 to $10 range. Richtech has achieved $7.10. Almost $8, just a quarter shy of $8 here. But when it decides to make its next move into this next push, undoubtedly, it will probably be very nice here. It's going to be interesting to see where the market goes here. The last rate cut, what happened was that the rate cut came, the market sold off. Then over the next 3-4 trading days, market was hot, market was running, everything was running. So I'm curious to see if that's what we're about to find ourselves in here. Maybe. The market has been kind of, a creature of habit here this year, where we've had these huge runs and then these huge sell-offs, but building back on the old highs. So that could be what we're looking at right now. So I'm still very much looking at Richtech. This is a very futuristic conversation stock. It's hard. I get it. For people that are like, this Richtech stuff for me, this is a little too much. I completely get this. I really do. And I think the main thing with Richtech, when people look at this for a long-term investment, that are like, I don't know if, when is this going to work? Do you really think robotics are going to be a big deal in the year to come? Possibly what could happen here. This is kind of my theory in my mind when I'm, what's really coming out of my mind right now with this is that I look at next year, what I know is going to happen. I know that Tesla's robot is going to be released, okay? So Optimus is going to be out into the world. Okay. And Elon even has made a statement saying we're not going to have enough to support all of the orders. It's too much. But we're going to keep trying here. Obviously, Tesla is up against the wall with a lot of stuff right now. They are doing everything to control everything. With this too, is that when that happens, I do think there will be a big moment in the market where robotics will get a lot of attention. When you're going to have, because there's other robotics companies out there that all serve and do different things. I think they're going to start, I think feeding frenzy might take place. Richtech here is in this very beautiful place. I mean, honestly, yes, they need to come out with some more aggressive quarterlies. They've wrapped up some deals here. This next one coming out in January should be pretty nice. I don't think it's going to be groundbreaking. I don't think it's going to be like, oh my God, but it could be the biggest one the company's ever produced. And good, great. Fantastic. It's a very new situation that's taking place here, okay? But I think you're going to have these staircases of aggressive movement, aggressive pullback, and then a moment of time, and then here comes the next wave of aggressive pull-up. Richtech here is in this beautiful place where it has this relationship now with the biggest and best, chip company in the world. Great. And they've got Jensen, for God's sakes, talking about them. That relationship could continue to grow. We'll see. But two, Richtech is already in this industry that a lot of robots are, not really getting into as hot as Richtech is, the service industry. So we have Dex, we have Atom here. These are robots that just might be the first, they're the newer generation, but these might be the first generation, essentially, that we look back on 5+ years from now and we go like, man, those were the ones that started it. Those were the ones that really got things going. So friends, I do believe in a futuristic world with intense AI technology, with robots, all that kind of stuff. I've always been a sci-fi nerd, so this stuff to me is like so cool. But I get this is hard for people to go like, do you think this stuff's really going to work? I think it's going to work no matter what, because there's so much money wrapped up in it. They're going to make it work, and technology is moving towards that way. I think it's just a matter of time before the market gets overran with people paying attention to robotic stocks. And why I say Optimus, the Tesla robot, is because once Optimus is able to be bought by celebrities, influencers, stuff like that, for a hefty price, obviously, people are going to go, robots, that's crazy. And then they're going to, yeah, Tesla makes robots. And then there's going to be some other public traded robotic companies, even ones that are making humanoid robots. People are going to look at them. They're going to look at them. I would say that's probably what we're looking at here. But too, the beautiful thing with Richtech may just start producing amazing quarterlies. They may start getting more deals. This may really just start to work in front of us here in 2026. It's a new company. It's a new thought. It's a new theory. It's a new kind of investment into the future. And it is very, very risky in the short moment, because you don't know how long it's going to take for this to really be pulled off. But this may just be the start of what's cooking up to be something special here. And Big Bear, sweet Big Bear. So Big Bear was having a pretty good day. It was pushing here, and then obviously towards the end of the day here, when we saw the market kind of just start to sell off here, we had that big old dip here right when Jerome talked. It really wasn't even that big of a dip. The fact that Big Bear is holding this high $6 range, this is freaking crazy. So, Big Bear was tossing around high $6, $7 range today and some change. And then Jerome started talking. He said some things that were not so favorable. The whole market went, and then it started to shoot back up. And then by the end of the day, Big Bear shot back up into the 7 and 3-4 cent range, and then it kind of ended the day here around 6.90. So to me, this is still very high aggressive zone. price share for Big Bear. I think a lot of people may be saying that because, a lot of us have been here buying this stuff since it was $3, $4, $5. I mean, even in $7 range, people are not far away from what's happening here. So essentially, we're coming up on these quarterlies, and I think the big question right now with a lot of people with Big Bear is, and this is where I'm not gonna tell you what to do. This is completely a decision that you as an investor have to make for yourself. Will you hold past Q3? I've seen that comment a lot. People say, what do we do here? Do we think they're gonna pass quarterlies? I think you need to look at this in one of two ways. If you're in Big Bear swing trading this in and out, these huge pushes, these huge pullbacks that we're seeing, this aggression that we've been seeing all year from Big Bear, this is nothing new. But if that's what you're here doing, okay, fine. You probably don't care that much. You may not even be in it right now, or you're saying like, I'm just going to go and take a profit, or maybe a little bit of loss. I'll jump back in after quarterlies. Maybe that's where you're at. Okay, fine. But if you're in Big Bear for long term and you're thinking like, this year has been so good and so aggressive with Big Bear, next year, if they even show, a 5 to 10% more aggression on top of what they've done this year, we're definitely going to be more than likely, we're going to be in a good place with quarterlies. Quarterlies will tick up aggressively. And, I think the biggest thing that a lot of us are looking at right now for Big Bear is that stock share price, great, wonderful. Sure, I would love Big Bear to go to $10, $15. Sure, there's always that chance that it just gets that momentum again, 100%. But right now, if you're in Big Bear for the long term, if you're in this for like, I want this to work, I really want this to be an amazing investment, okay? Right now, the main focus that we all need to look at is that Big Bear continues to get these deals, that it can get past a place where it is achieving quarterlies, where it is pleasing Wall Street, where bigger money keeps pushing into it, where it just keeps growing and is able to support itself more financially, to where it is stable enough to hold this $7, $8, $9, $10 range. Because until Big Bear, passes these quarterlies, it's never gonna hold a double-digit number unless it were to get some huge deal that would undoubtedly be on a later on quarterly. But right now, I say all that to say, Big Bear's had a phenomenal year. I do think that going into 2026 that they more than likely are focusing in on these airline deals. They are obviously going after airline deals. Good, great, fantastic. We don't know the price tag on these, so that is why it's so hard to go, I don't know. I don't, the defense deals, those are pretty much public. We can kind of, you can take your phone on your calculator on your phone and, kind of break them up, how that money could go here. But with a lot of these deals that they've seen, even the last 6 months with these random partnerships / Panama Canal / these slew of airline deals they've had, a lot of them we don't know. We just don't know financially what they brought in. This next quarterly may be freaking nuts. It may be great. It may be the biggest they've ever had. Who knows? I'm hopeful that it is. God knows it. I mean, I'm gonna be on here celebrating, jumping up and down because we did it. I mean, I could cry just talking about it. But I don't know, friends. I really don't know. I don't know if these airline deals are just they're pretty good deals, good money, or they're like, these are really good. These are like really, really good. We just don't know. We don't know. They're not public. So I'm hopeful. The main thing too, long term, yes, we just want to see Big Bear doing what it's doing, getting deals. That is so good. Stock share price going up, of course, we all want that. We love that. But if Big Bear can continue to push into these deals and push up quarterlies, this is what is going to drive up price heavily, okay, very heavily. So it's really up to you whether you're selling or holding past this quarterly. But undoubtedly, this quarterly is gonna be very interesting because it's gonna tell us kind of what these past few deals, especially the ones over the summer through August, September, really were. We'll get more of a better idea. And then if they get anything from here on out, to the next quarterly, that's really going to help us decipher what we could be expecting here. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, friends. What a day in the market. We still got 2 days left in the market. Let's see what happens here. I hope this thing goes freaking nuts. Take care of yourself, friends. I will talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.